It's just, and then also, I don't know if you can put this in the same category, but he has the big sumo who he just grabs his ass and squeezes tight.
I forgot about that because it's like, what? The first instinct is like, both eyes. And it's like, what are you doing, Roger? What's going on here? What's the plan, Roger? And then he turns the nappy.
Squeeze.
Did it not play like music over that? How it does it? It goes. Hello and welcome to the For Your Ears Only podcast. My name is Derek. This is Jack.
Hello.
The man with the golden ring, and I am the man with the golden introduction. And today we are of course talking about The Man with the Golden Gun, 1974, directed by everyone's favourite director, Guy Hamilton.
The only director in the world.
Yes, he's come back for second film in a row, I believe. But yes, the Man with the Golden Gun, Roger's second outing. Now I'm not going to ask you what you think of this film right now. I think what we are best doing is going straight into the 2-minute challenge. So if you have watched any of our episodes before, you'll know that Jack and I take it in turns to summarise the film in question within the 2-minute timescale, condense as much as possible without missing out any key details. You can't say spy stuff. You can't say
James Bond
stuff. Yes, you can't say anything like that. You have to be quite concise, but not too concise to fit it inside the 2 minutes. So we're going to start off with that. And just before we go into it, if you are new to the channel and never seen any of this before, then go back and watch the previous episodes, because you wouldn't start James Bond with Roger Moore's second film.
No,
you need to understand where it's come from. You need to understand the history. So, like that, go back and watch our previous episodes to understand where we came from.
How we got here.
So, enough stalling, because Jack's very nervous.
Yep. I have watched the film, guys.
And so you just let me know when you're ready.
Right,
all
okay.
right?
Let's just rock and roll.
You want to just get it over with?
Right, okay.
Like a band-aid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rip it off.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
So the film's opening scene introduces the main villain, Scaramanga, and he's having a duel with some gangster, and he wins. And that's it. So the titles roll, and the film opens with James Bond being summoned to M's office. He holds up a golden bullet with 007 on it, and they deduce that this is from Scaramanga. He's coming out to get Bond. So M sends him on his way to find Scaramanga. That takes him to a belly dancer, and the belly dancer has a bullet of a previous 00 who's been killed by Scaramanga. They take that to Q. Q says, oh, it's from this guy in Macau who makes the bullets. Bond goes there, and the guy in Macau says that he delivers it to somebody at the casino. So on his trail, he gets to meet Scaramanga's woman, who he then roughs up, I guess, to find out more about Scaramanga and where he's going to be. He's going to be at the Bottoms Up Club. He gets to the Bottoms Up Club just as Scaramanga kills some guy, a scientist who's invented some solar power device, and Scaramanga steals it. Bond then has to go and report in, and Q and N tell him to go find the machine. How long do I have left?
40 seconds left.
All right, okay, so a Thai billionaire wants this machine so he can sell it off, but Scaramanga also wants it, so he kills the billionaire. Bond infiltrates the billionaire's lair or whatever. He escapes, he gets chased, he goes after Scaramanga. Scaramanga gets away in a flying car. Bond goes to his secret island where he finds this solar energy device. They have a duel to the death to see who's the best marksman. Bond wins, destroys the base, and lives happily ever after.
That's good. That was good, actually. That was 1:59.
Wow, that was good.
Yes, that was actually very good. That was very concise.
Yeah,
you went through all the details. You missed out Goodnight, but I think that was the reason they went to the lair. But everything else was actually pretty spot on. for that. So
I think, yeah. I'm trying to think of the big things that I missed out. Not really, just
you got
parts
everything.
that doesn't matter.
Everything was nice there. I think with this movie, and the fact that you were able to explain it all, if I'd never seen it or never even heard of it before, you explained it well enough that I was able to get it. I really, really like this film.
Okay.
And if anything, it is probably one of my favourite ones I've watched so far.
Of the whole thing so far?
Because the story's so simple, but in a weird, frustrating way, I think it could be so much better. The other films went in a way where, see, at the time, it was like, right, that was it. That was what was popular. Let's do this, blah, blah, blah. This movie could be remade and would be unbelievably popular.
Right now.
Yes, I think if there was going to be a James Bond movie that was remade, it would have to be this one. Out of all the James Bond films, this is the one that would be remade. And I think it would be phenomenal because it's so simple.
Because the plot's still relevant?
Yeah.
Because
The plot is relevant, but it's to compare it to the other stories. Let's put aside the ones that are ludicrous.
Right.
We steal all the gold. Take that out, even like the Thunderball, the stealing of the nukes. How nowadays it's very Mission Impossible. This just happens to be, at this point, James Bond is no longer a super secret spy. Everyone knows who he is in the underworld. But you need to establish that. So the other films established that everyone who's anyone in the underworld knows who James Bond is.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this guy who is meant to be one of the biggest marksmen and one of the best marksmen in the world.
Yeah.
And I think it's just such a good story that it's almost like a challenge, but it's not. It's like a weird respect that Scaramanga has for James Bond. Why he's got a waxwork of him, I don't know. But he has that. But then James Bond is kind of the opposite, where they are almost the same person. But James Bond says, oh no, I only kill who I'm told to kill. But he doesn't really, he kills everybody. He has permission to kill no one.
He thinks he's a better person because he's doing it for the good of the world.
Yeah, it's just, Scaramanga has everything. He has the skill.
Yep.
He challenges himself. He has Nick Nack, who isn't actually trying to get people to kill him so then he can inherit the island.
Yeah.
A weird relationship going on. He doesn't need anything. He's got so much money that he has the most expensive weapon in the world that has such expensive. I always thought the gun looked weird, but the reason the gun looks weird is because it's put together.
Made of different things.
Yeah, so he can take it through customs.
Yeah.
It's like a pen and a lighter, cufflinks. The bullet goes inside a belt buckle, and that's how it goes through. It's got one shot, which is very unpractical, but I think the story just works really well of a very, very good assassin at the top of his game challenges another assassin who has a moral code.
Yeah.
Does James Bond have a moral code? And the point where they talk to each other and they say, no, we are both the best in the world. You just get a piddly pay and a shite pension.
Yeah, well, he's
and
like a freelance.
He said, I just do what I want. And then he said, oh no, I pay who I'm told to kill, kind of thing.
Yeah. He kills only killers, is what he says.
Yeah, he said, I kill only killers. When we all know that's not true. We've been watching you, Roger, and Sean, and George.
We're watching all your faces.
Yeah,
many people.
So I think the story is,
because it's simple,
really good. It's very easy to follow. See, when we watched this, I actually right now is still Rachel's favourite film. Because she was like, it's just, everything makes sense. There's not really there is a kind of slow bit, but there's not really a slow bit. There's no bits which are unbelievable. Yeah. And there's a few you might challenge with that, but
there is a couple.
But they're not. I didn't get the end where it was like, this guy creating solar power? Bastard. Kill him.
Kill him.
But yeah, I really like it.
I think because it's a simple 1v1, he's fighting an assassin. It's not him fighting an evil corporation that's trying to destroy the world or take over the world, something ludicrous like you were saying. They're not like going to blow up the moon or something, because it's relatable.
Yeah.
And it's just him against another man.
I was trying to think as well, another movie from James Bond that's like that, and you know it's really similar to this? Skyfall. one person who has a very unique problem with the main characters, and his job is to kill them or make them suffer in some way. But then it turns out it doesn't, because he didn't send the bullet. And for me, that ruined it.
It's a kind of a plot hole in a way, isn't it? Because
one, she got a golden bullet. It's really expensive, and he didn't notice that it was missing. Two, she managed to engrave it with 007, even though I don't know how she knew it was 007. Everyone knows James Bond, they don't know he's 007.
Yep.
And
then send it to...
But then Scaramanga's surprised that James Bond's coming here. But then I suppose they tie that up because James Bond's investigating the solar thing. Scaramanga's looking for the engineer for the solar thing, and that's how it works. But I don't know, I didn't like that. I was like, I'd rather Scaramanga was like
outright challenge them.
Yeah, basically. Because look at the ego. He wants people to come into his house, and then he's got this funhouse thing to try and get round it. You want that, and that's why...
Yeah, it comes across that way, that they kind of sort of... they kind of shush that bit away, that it's not him, because it suddenly becomes all about him wanting to kill James Bond rather than why is this guy coming to kill me? I have no idea who he is or what he wants. Because
he's got a waxwork in the house.
Yeah, exactly.
But then he knows who this is, but he admires him. But he must be like, "What are you doing here?" It's like, "Oh no, you're Mrs. who I rogered." It's like, she sent me a bullet. She could have phoned, but what she did was she sent a threat. Now imagine he took M's advice and went, maybe just lay low. I can't have you going out and getting killed like this, like 002. I can't have it. Good thing that's not a question. I just gave the answer away. Good thing he didn't just take the threat and go, actually, I'm going to lay low for a while. Yeah. And Modans was sitting there going, wait, is she? He's not coming. I sent him a bullet. He's ignored Most people that you send a bullet to don't go
into hiding.
Yeah, they're like, I'm not going out anymore. So yeah, I didn't like that, but I think if that was to be remade, then you would take that bit out. But I think I'm not going to say a summary of it because it's not at the end yet. But I think, I like the film.
I would say that it is a good film. I know you're saying it's one of your favourites. I don't think it gets the sort of good rap generally, like around the world. Fans don't really care for it so much. In fact, Roger Moore said it was his worst one he ever did. And I get that. Is
that like box office performance though?
It also box office. It only did half of what the Live and Let Die did.
I think Live and Let Die was just curiosity.
Yeah. It did something like $90 million, which is still very good for the 70s.
Yeah.
But not good by Bond standards. No. But I don't think I think it was more, he just didn't like the filming in his own performance rather than the box office figures.
There wasn't a lot of James Bond-y parts of it. There wasn't the gadgets and the chase. Well, I suppose there's a kind of chase, but there's not.
Yeah, no, there is some Bond. There's some Bond moments. There's not a lot of gadgets. It has girls in it. It has gambling, and the only thing it doesn't really have is he only kills one person.
Yeah, I think that's quite unique, though.
Yeah,
that's very niche about it. Like he's only killed one person, which happens to just be the main villain at the end, which is
a cool figure.
I thought, like, with the movie being made, I don't know what you have down in terms of like, the history, but they reference obviously the solar power is the thing Scaramanga's trying to harness, and I don't know what he's planning on doing, like taking it and selling it or something like that.
What I got is that at the very beginning, James Bond's trying to find this scientist who will help solve energy crisis. Then it so happens to be that Scaramanga's got a contract out on this scientist who he kills, and this billionaire ordered him to kill the scientist so he could take the thing and then sell it.
Yeah,
because it can give you like unlimited solar power or something.
Scaramanga's just kept it for his island.
Then he keeps it for his island, but on the island he also says that he's going to bring all the world leaders to bid on it.
Yeah, that's capitalism.
So
I suppose it's stolen,
so and he's murdered people to get it.
I suppose there's that. But the thing where he mentions about the oil, and around about this time there was a big oil developments. There was
an embargo.
Yeah, there was the oil in the Middle East. I think it was the Middle East or something were not selling to Israel, so then the prices like inflated, and then there was the pipelines in America that were being built at the time, and it was this big rush of oil.
Okay.
And then it was this argument with the nations about who could provide it and who couldn't provide it, and alternatives to then make it so that oil wasn't really dependent. History. We don't get that nowadays, do we?
No. For history, I had basically what you're saying there, but there was I kind of got it from, there was a war between Israel and some of the Middle Eastern states, mainly Egypt. And what it was is Egypt basically wanted to take the Mount Sinai, isn't it? So they wanted that peninsula for themselves in the Suez Canal so they could have like control and stuff, but it was owned by Israel, so they started a war. And then all the Arab nations got together and said, well, you and all your Western powers are no longer getting any of our oil. So that's why there was a big crisis in the West where there was no oil, or it was...
We are taking our ball and going home.
Yeah, basically. So oil went up to like 300%.
Yeah.
It went up by, so that's why there was the energy crisis that they refer to in the film, which is good, like real world, and it's also a pretty modern thing as well.
Again, people relate to it. It's not.
Relatable.
It's not even. It's not modern or old. It's just stayed that way. It's not changed since the 70s. Something I found quite interesting as well is this movie was actually meant to be made in the 60s, and it was meant to star Roger Moore. And this was meant to come after You Only Live Twice.
Okay.
Because of the setting they had there. And they thought the country they would film it in was Cambodia. Now, Cambodia in the 60s had a lot of problems. And when they were ready to not do the filming, but do the scouting for it, obviously the Civil War kicked off and everything else with like Vietnam and that happened as well. They said, right, we can't do that, so we'll postpone it. Yep. But Roger Moore did work, so then he took a contract on for something else, and now they couldn't have him.
That's how they got George.
Then they went for George, and then they went back to Sean, and then they came back for Roger that way. And that's what it was. And obviously, they did Live and Let Die first of all because they wanted to do the. We spoke about it in the last episode, which you should watch. They wanted to do that because culturally, socially, it was very appropriate at the time, but then they wanted to revisit this, which, as I understand, is Ian Fleming's last novel?
Yes, it's his last novel.
It was published after he died?
Published after he died, 8 months after he died. So he died before he could really get the final draft and polished up, so that's why it was like considered almost a failure, because he didn't have the time to like go over it again and again.
It's like the Silmarillion. It's like it's token. It's his notes, his rough draft. Come through. Yeah.
So the plot in that, they didn't take a lot of plot from the book. They took the name Scaramanga, and there's an assassin that Bond has to go kill, but everything else is completely different.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we talked about in previous episode 005? You Only Live Twice, the ending of the book, how he gets
gets
amnesia.
Out. Yeah.
He gets amnesia. So this book picks up from there.
Oh no!
So he has.
This is someone says Russia, and he goes, "Oh, that's."
He has amnesia, and he sees something in a newspaper about Russia. He goes to Russia, and he gets captured by the KGB, and they basically brainwash him into being a Soviet agent. So this book opens with him going to MI6 after being away for however long. He comes to MI6 and he meets M, and he tries to kill M. Like
this sounds so much more exciting.
And he fails killing M, and then he gets like brainwashed.
Turn him off and on again. He's got a reset in the back.
And he has to.
Buzz Lightyear is Spanish.
That's exactly. Okay.
It's just James Bond babbling Russian. Jakey's batteries out.
It's like the evil Krusty doll. He turns it from good to bad. There's your problem. Yeah, so then he has to redeem himself by going to kill this assassin guy in America, which he does. So
that sounds good. Yeah. And that's Scaramanga.
Yeah,
evil assassin guy. Yeah, they chose What's the place called? Where are we? Is it
Thailand.
Thailand? Yeah. They chose there because of the islands, and they thought
Yeah.
that looks really good for like a layer, just the way the islands come at the water. And then they thought we'll just stay at this part of the country and we'll write it around that. There was a joke that they needed an elephant stampede. They wanted an elephant stampede scene.
Okay.
So then they ordered if when elephants run, they need shoes. So they says, right, we need 200 elephant shoes,
Right.
and they ordered it, and then they changed all the script, and then something like 6 months down the line, they were like on set, and then this like truck appeared with this pallet, and they went, right, your elephant shoes are around. They're like, what? And it was like, your elephant shoes, and they're like, what elephant shoes? They completely forgot, and they were like, right, we have to unload this truck and then do something. Never did anything with them, but so yeah, it was
a warehouse somewhere full of elephant shoes.
Yes,
from the 70s.
Elephant shoes and purple armbands. I think this movie was a bit of a mishmash in terms of what was happening. It was, as far as I understand, it was Harry Saltzman's last James Bond movie, and after that, everything was just on the broccoli side of things. But before we go into the casting things, why don't you tickle the viewers' golden brains with the first question?
Right.
Okay.
Now pay attention, 007.
It's good to be back.
It's great to hear his voice.
Desmond.
Okay, so question number 1. I think this will be an easy one if you just have to watch the film to get it. So, in Scaramanga's funhouse, one section of it has some gangsters shooting each other. Can you tell us who the famous gangster is in the funhouse? The mannequin.
No.
Did you know it?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, he says his name.
He says his name,
Yeah,
and
he
it's
says his-
obvious.
I think it's the only famous one that everyone knows of, but I quite like. I actually really like the funhouse bit. The funhouse bit is good in the GoldenEye game, when you
Oh,
could
I
go
don't
to the
know.
map of the funhouse, and it's interesting. One of my favourite ones. So the cast, obviously, Roger returns to bring his usual Rogerisms.
He does.
Who brings back that eyebrow and that immaculate dress. So Roger was always going to come back, but we said before, Roger was meant to be in this movie anyway when it was made
Yeah, like 10
8 years beforehand
Yeah.
to come through. So he's obviously back. However, the most exciting part of this film is Christopher Lee, and there's a number of points as to why.
Okay,
He's
it's
a-
definitely the biggest hype thing, I think.
Yeah, Christopher
Big
Lee
name.
wanted to do it when he was approached for it because at the time he was Dracula.
Yes,
And he was like,
very
I want to do
famous.
something else that's no Dracula. And something not a lot of people know is Christopher Lee is cousins with Ian Fleming.
Yeah, they're related through marriage or
Yeah,
something.
they're related. So they played golf, and he knew Ian Fleming. I think he played golf shortly before he died, and knew him that way. But another thing about Christopher Lee is Christopher Lee's led like a very fascinating life in terms of his.
Yeah, because he was
Upbringing.
a spy or something as well.
Yeah, well, he was in the same department as Ian Fleming, which where a
Yeah.
lot of the ideas
That
came
must
from.
be how they knew each other originally.
Yeah, but Christopher Lee was very busy. He was actually on different branches. He wasn't just in one. So and I remember this from the Lord of the Rings things where it was talking about
Stabbing in
you
the back.
stab, and he's like, no, that's not how someone reacts if they get stabbed. And Peter Jackson went, all right, you just do you, Chris.
Don't tell me.
He was an RAF intelligence officer. From there, he was also part of the Special Reconnaissance Regiment, which is a branch of the Special Forces which are based in Hereford. Still very much like the SAS, operate the same thing except not the same branch.
Right.
He was also part of a unit called Popsky's Private Army, which were really all about just wreaking havoc in Africa, demolitions, blowing things
Is
up.
this like a Wagner group? Is this a... Or what?
I think that was a colloquial name, but they didn't have. It was these were very small units, like no
Right.
more. Some of them were no more than 100 men. Some were like 20. So he was branched off in these different
Is
things.
that an official thing, or is he just a renegade soldier blowing things up?
Well, that kind of gets on to the next thing. This was the same unit that Ian Fleming was part of, called the Special Operations Executive.
Mm.
The Special Operations Executive also had a... That's what people knew them as, but the other term they had was Churchill's Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Oh, that's
And
very
it turns
British.
out that there's a movie coming out next year,
Right.
directed by Guy Ritchie, starring
Of course.
Henry Cavill.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all about so Churchill's Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, where they were all off the books. They had no ties with the British government. Everything they did was against rules of engagement. They did things that you would not expect. America had something very, very similar that went on afterwards, which I believe they were called, like, again, the nickname is like the Dirty Tricks Department.
Okay.
This is where they make gadgets. This is where they take seemingly innocuous items and make them explode and take them through things. But they plant evidence of crimes for people that they can't kill, they can't get rid of. They bug places to get blackmail for people.
Right.
They do things like, it's almost like pranks in a lot of cases.
Okay.
So there was like ones where I don't know if this was the British one or the American one, where there was plans drawn up to put like itching powder or cayenne powder in like condom supplies. Just stuff like that.
Just silly.
They planned, I think it was the American unit planned on dropping pornography over Hitler's
What is bunker?
estate
Right.
because he hated pornography and they just wanted to enrage him. But they thought psychologically that'll get to him because it'll start to annoy him. They planned on giving, this is not the British, but the American side, there was a plan to put female hormones in Hitler's food so that he would become less aggressive.
Okay.
And obviously less aggressive, that would then go on to like the generals and stuff, and maybe their tactics and such would change. And they actually gave the hormones to the local produce farmer, but they don't know what happened if he put it in or they didn't work or such. They have no idea.
Oh, okay.
But this department was there. Ian Fleming was part of that branch. Christopher Lee was also part of that branch. So you can see now where the gadget side comes from.
Yeah.
Where the sneaking about and becoming Japanese
Yeah.
comes from.
There's rumours that it's partially James Bond is supposed to be based on Christopher Lee and all that as well, or at least partly because they knew him.
A lot of this is all like anecdotal.
Yeah.
There is some reports come out. A lot of them were just released recently. But they made things that other departments couldn't make or weren't allowed to make, but they had no rules. If they were caught or captured, they had no affiliation. They were just
they were just jailed.
Yeah, that was all that happened. So Christopher Lee was part of that, and I thought that's quite interesting, the fact that he is realistically part of this world.
Yeah.
But then is put against James Bond, who's it's almost like the real guy going against the fictional character.
Yeah, true. Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. Obviously, a big name as well. Everyone knows Christopher Lee, and obviously what he did afterwards. But
yeah, he must have been at the height of his like fame, really.
Yeah,
in the 20th century.
Why did he have a third nipple? I don't understand why that was necessary. I get there was plots where it fit into. You need to identify him, and this is how
that could really be it. Because there's the bit where Roger Moore's asking, was it Maud Adams, like, what distinguishing features did he have? And I was like, tall, dark, and handsome.
I have
and
that.
he's
noted.
like,
so's my aunt. That was actually a line I've got noted because I was like,
yeah. So maybe that's it, because you needed someone to be distinguishable. And well, all villains seem to have something. Obviously, odd jobs.
Apparently, a third nipple's apparently very common.
Like Harry Styles.
Is Harry Styles a third nipple?
I think he has 4 nipples.
Is it not a nipple? What, like a cow?
Yes, suckle on. I'm sure he has like 2 on like down on near enough bottom ribs kind of idea.
Like udders.
Like udders.
Is that a nipple, or is that like, is there not a name for that?
It's not
like a nubbin or something like that. I remember it from Friends. There was.
It's not
Chandler
like a
had
full nipple. It's like this type of skin that a nipple is down there.
Right. But you're glad you've tuned in.
I'm sure he has 4 nipples.
What's a nipple and what's not a nipple? Yeah, I didn't really understand why that was necessary, but then I think they made it so you could identify who he was. There wasn't like a scar or a different coloured eye or something like
Yeah,
that. You know, something sexy from that. Hey, another nipple.
But you say that he was one of the best things. I thought he could have been utilised a bit more. There's a lot of
He didn't do a lot of acting.
Most of the film, he doesn't do much until the last 10 minutes, I guess, that he's on the island. He's very shady, in the dark, says hardly anything.
Yeah.
I just think they could have done more with him.
The most acting he did was when he killed the billionaire. And he was like, problem? No problem.
Yeah.
And then he just goes, oh, no, he's just resigned. That's another line I had.
Yeah, that's another thing I didn't get. Why does it...
Why does that
and
guy...
he suddenly gets all of his company?
Yeah, that guy was just like, okay, oh, he's the boss now. Is that how it works? Okay.
Like that Futurama.
Yeah, I think they didn't utilise him as well. He didn't have a lot.
Yeah.
He was meant to be... I think when he looked at the character was meant to be quite cold and just like a mercenary, but he wanted to make him more... He's a rich guy who's like skilled in his own island. Like he's going to be a bit relaxed and live the good life.
Yeah,
and I thought it kind of worked quite well because I think it compared it as well with, even though James Bond is, he has like expensive cars and like a Rolex watch, and such. He still has like a boss.
Yeah, he's still tied.
Still working that 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Whereas we've got this other guy who's the opposite, who's like, we're almost the same. If anything, you're more expensive and more like known than me, but I get charged £1 million for like a hit coming through.
Have to do it every day.
Yeah, I think it should be remade and come into something else.
Who would be your new Scaramanga?
Who'd be Scaramanga?
Yeah, if you remade the film, who would be Scaramanga?
I don't know. I think the whole character would have to be read. Who'd be James Bond?
Well, we know we know it's going to be Henry.
No, it's going to be Henry.
It'll be Henry, or I think Aaron Taylor Johnson's a good shout. Actually,
yeah, I think that's quite good because I think have you seen Bullet Train?
Yes,
yeah,
he's good in that.
I mean, it's nothing like James Bond
no, with
the moustache and the Cockney accent, but it's still good. But then he's a very physical actor. You're going for a physical actor, but like this isn't 2006. This isn't go for the biggest actor you can find and make him look huge and physical and they're looking for something else. I don't know. That look like Barbara Broccoli.
Yes. Tall, dark, and handsome.
I don't know. I don't know who I would cast
like
it.
A sort of Tom Hiddleston or something would be a good, that kind of British, slim, tall.
That's another thing. Scaramanga says, "Oh, you English all doing this." I was like, "You're English. You can hear it in your voice." But then maybe actually, does it not know that he is from some other country? In fact, no, he's born in a circus. Can't remember if it said where it was, but
no, I don't think it does.
Clearly didn't match with the character. But yeah, I thought that was the most, or not the most, the biggest draw for the film was Christopher Lee. The other kind of casting, I mean, J.W. Pepper was back, which is part of the dislikes. I didn't think it worked. I think they played their hand too much. I think they thought, oh, it worked in the last one, let's just do it again.
Yeah, it's just
and it's like, no. What you've done is you've brought him back in, you've made him just like overtly racist this time.
Oh yeah, just full blown.
Yeah. not southern, but full on, right.
You can't say that.
Yeah. Stop. I didn't like that, but it wasn't really as funny. They put him in too many bits, and
it was Guy Hamilton's idea. He wanted somebody to write. He wanted the script writer to write him in again.
I think they just thought it worked the last time. Why don't we do it again? And I if anything, I think it backfired because I just didn't. That was one bit I just didn't like about it.
I think it's good.
That another boat chase.
If you're under 10. Then, oh look, there's that funny guy again.
Yeah.
It's not really...
Oh, the elephant pushes him in. No. That wasn't scripted. Well, the elephant just pushed him and then they pushed him and he fell in mud and then they just had to... They shot it again with him falling in the water. But when the elephant pushed him, I think it was like Guy Hamilton thought he was dead. He just fell and disappeared. But yeah, that... And just to kind of touch on my dislikes, I didn't like that. The boat chase, I didn't.
A boat chase after a film that's all boat chase.
Yeah, it was a shorter one, but it was still. This is a bit stupid. Why can't he just run away? And then before that, there was like the school fighting scene. What was that about?
I have that as something.
He gets
written
knocked
down.
out. It's like, oh, why? Oh, send him to the school. Why?
One of the funny bits though in the film is where he just kicks the guy when they're bowing. That is hilarious.
I found that when I was a boy. I found that still funny.
Yeah, no, that was very good. But
Unsporting, ungentlemanly.
no, not very James Bondy. I thought that was funny, but then when he has to fight the whole school, it just looks like a 50-year-old alcoholic white man fighting a bunch of kids. It does. You just see him. You're like, nah, you passed it. You're past it.
Yeah, and then there's the two girls in the back of the taxi that come out and start beating everyone. Like, who are they? What's happening here?
It's his nieces. Why did he bring his nieces to work if he's a secret agent?
The whole thing, I didn't really get that bit, but it started to get to the point where this is fluff. We've seen this in the previous movie. It's fluff. Oh, we need to fill 5 minutes. Boat chase. They get in the car. He could jump in the car with them.
Why does he not wait for him to get in the car?
He just drives away. Oh no, let's run to the river. Or the boat chase can take place in.
And introduce Pepper.
Yeah, I just didn't get
And
that.
he pushes the little boy out in the boat into like the horrible, disgusting river.
Oh, yeah, the boy with the elephant comes through. I think it did lead on to other chases. Like, let's start on the flying car first of all.
Yes. Now you're going to say that this is real.
Yes, it was.
Explain.
And an ironic twist is it was based off a flying car that an inventor did create. So the way it works in terms of the car and the wings and such, that was...
That attaches onto a car.
I think
the wings attach on
I
in the
think
film.
I don't know in terms of the detachability of it, but there was wings attached to a car. It looked like that. However, the creator died in the car before they started filming. So it's not a good thing, but it was a thing.
Did he die from that or for something completely
No, he died
unrelated?
from that. I think it crashed.
All right.
I don't really know a lot about it, but that, he died from that. Not a great advert for it, but it did exist. It was based off a real thing, so that seemed to work. And then the other thing, like the stunts that were happening as well, like the car chase, the car flip stunt.
Yes, that is a Bond moment. We can talk about that now if you want.
Yes.
Yep.
In fact, why don't you give them question 2 before we
Okay.
go into the Bond moments?
Okay, question to everybody. What is the unusual diameter of the bullets in Scaramanga's golden gun? It is said in the film. They're talking about how unique it is.
You say it doesn't exist
It doesn't exist.
because James Bond knows everything.
Yes. He does seem to know everything.
That is a good question. Yeah, but I think even the point, like, see at the start when the belly dancers got the
Why does the belly dancer have the bullet that killed?
yeah, is that not traumatizing? Someone shot another person you were next to and they died. It went through his neck. That must have been quite gruesome.
And
And you've just went, I'm just going to keep it and put it. This is my,
would the police not want that?
it's my lucky charm. Yeah, it's my lucky charm. I thought it was quite funny. I'd never noticed this when I was a boy, but see when he gets out, like he swallows it and he goes, right, where to? And he goes, a chemist. And I was like, is James Bond a way to take a laxative?
Yeah, well, yeah.
We
It
don't-
wasn't until that viewing there that I actually got caught onto that.
Just the assassin busting and James Bond's on the toilet. Give me 5.
If only that was how they filmed
Yeah,
the
that-
5 minutes.
Yeah, that's not a Bond moment. But yeah, the stunt I thought was very interesting. How
the barrel roll.
yeah, because it's iconic. There's one bit that it could be 10 out of 10, and you know what I'm going to talk about. It could be 10 out of 10, but what happens? Someone in the sound department goes, "Woo!"
What is it?
Why have they done that?
Like a penny whistle or something
Yeah.
it's called.
Why was that? You've taken something that was, you could have just done silence and everyone would be like, that's
Whoa.
incredible.
Yeah. Did they want to just keep it light-hearted? I don't know. Did they want to make some humour because it's Peppa's in the car?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm sure there's alternate takes where they have the John Barry score over it, but then they decide in the end.
I think silence is probably best. It's just silence because it works. Because you do hear J.W. Pepper scream, which is funny, but you didn't need that noise. I'd like the fact that they custom built the car for this.
Right.
So they took a car. There was a stunt driver who could do the stunt, but in a very controlled environment.
Okay.
And they actually put this through a computer simulation.
Oh.
I didn't think you got that back then.
Computers back then.
There was like a big company that did a computer simulation of the weight of the car, the size, the speed, did it at the angle, and said, okay, this is the angle you need of this ramp, this angle here, this is the weight. So they had to take the car, which was a Mustang.
It's a Hornet.
A Hornet. So they took a Hornet, they cut it right in half.
Okay.
They extended it by 6 inches, so they made it longer. They then had to take weight out so the thing was perfectly balanced on both sides.
Right.
So the driver is actually face down in the car.
Okay.
Their face is there. Their feet are behind them, operating the pedals, and they're steering like this. Now he's completely in black, and he's completely painted in black, so you can't see him. And at either side is completely like exact weighted mannequins of James Bond and J.W. Pepper.
Okay.
So when they hit this stunt, everything's to the letter. The speed's exact, the weight is exact, and that's why it works so perfectly and lands. And apparently, when it worked and that's the take, Guy Hamilton said that's a bit too perfect. That was flawless.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like, it didn't, take bits off his side or maybe just miss it, and there was no edge.
Oh yeah, it just cleanly worked.
He went to the stunt guy and says, I think we'd quite like to do that again. And the stunt guy said no. It's like, I have never done that before. I have done it once and I'm never doing that again. And that they used that take. But you think it's just, it's a ramp and there's another ramp and we'll just see what happens. But they worked. They only had one take for it. Apparently the driver was, because it was going to flip, the driver was because he was lying flat, kind of like what I imagine like Batman on like that bike thing.
That's how I'm imagining it.
Yeah, he was lying like that, completely painted in black, but he had a harness in 3 spots. But because it was a river, if they said if this goes in the river, he can't get out. He will just drown. So they had divers in the river and they had a crane. And what was going to happen is the divers were actually holding on to the hook for the crane. If the car went under, they would swim to the car, hook it on the crane, because that's the fastest way. It was faster than pulling him out. They thought, we're just going to have to pull the entire car out. And everyone was watching this and waiting to see what was going to happen. And it wasn't like trial runs. It was like, we need to do this because if we ruin this car, we're back to drawing board. We need to build a new one or try and repair this. We've killed the driver. The only guy in the world that can do this.
For the family.
And so I thought that's like old school stunts.
Yeah, in fact it's real. It's like Chris Nolan, real. Everything's real.
Yeah. Build that nuke. Yeah, I really like that, and I thought that's class. Like, it's just really good, and it's almost it's kind of undermined. It's like,
do they ruin it? They don't ruin it completely because you still talk about, or in a way they add to it because you're talking about it still. You're still talking about it.
You're still talking about it, but I think it doesn't get the hype it deserves, I think.
No, maybe it's always one of those things. Remember in Channel 5 that would have like the countdown, the top 10 best sweets or chocolate bars.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'd have like top 10 stunts or whatever, and I remember watching it and this was on it.
It's so flawlessly executed to the point where the director thought it was too perfect. Give me another stunt that was, and don't say Casino Royale. He crashed a car. He crashed it. They crashed it and the guy survived. That was the aim of the game. Here's an air cannon and we're going to do this, and all it's going to have the air cannons going to bar the road and you're going to flip. Just stay alive. Any other James Bond? I'm trying to think of
anyone in it. Was the stunt guy in that?
Yeah.
We'll get onto that.
Yeah. It was a world record. There was an actual driver. There needs to be a driver in the car to get the world record.
Oh, really? Okay, I thought they just flipped the car.
No, there was an actual stunt driver in there. But I'm trying to think of other James Bond films or any films that have like stunts, don't say Fast and Furious because
Mission Impossible.
old here. I don't.
They have that one they're talking about now where he drives off the cliff.
Is that a stunt? Again, that's not a stunt. Ultimately, you've crashed that bike. The stunt in No Time to Die when he goes up the steps in the motorbike, but then that's a ramp. That's a hit it with enough speed and you will land. This was, we need to get this absolutely spot on.
I get what you mean. This is like a one-off, first time anyone's ever done it.
Yeah.
And nobody knows how it's going to go.
Should have been the highlight of the film, and it was just this one point, because then we've got like JW Pepper. Like,
yeah.
Or beforehand, sure am, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good, and it could have been bigger, but again, that'll be for me to remake the film.
Yeah, you can take that out of your...
Yeah. What other Bond moments do you have from the movie?
The third nipple. That's
That's the moment. What, the opening?
Yeah.
When he's clearly dabbing himself and not wanting to take off the makeup.
yeah, exactly. The third nipple. Maybe because it's just a bit weird. That's a Bond moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a third nipple?
Right.
Because Jack would like to see it.
DM us.
Aside from nipples, do you have anything else?
That I like the funhouse duel is good.
Yes.
The opening, it annoys me that basically the end of the film was the exact same as the opening because it's basically replicated. There's nothing different about it. It's just a duel in the same place, but the funhouse itself is cool. And
See that
everything's
gangster?
slanted and stuff.
Is that gangster the same actor that's in the two other films?
It's just It's
the same guy in Goldfinger that
It's
gets
just-
crushed in the car.
It's the same. It's definitely the same guy because I looked it up and it's the guy from Slumber, isn't it? And Diamonds Are Forever.
Yes, the guy is the
Slumber.
driver.
He's like, I didn't know there was a pool down there. Didn't know there's a pool down there.
Yeah.
That one. That's him.
Right.
But is he supposed to be the same character? I don't know. Why would...
Is he supposed to be like generic gangster?
Yeah. Why would Slumber Inc. be in
But
Thailand?
he's the same guy who get crushed in
Yeah.
Goldfinger.
Yes. In the car.
I don't know why. There was one thing I noticed as well. Seeing the scene where they're fighting in the dressing room. My charm! At the start.
Yeah.
There's a point where someone gets thrown into the mirror, into the dressing table, and the mirror flips, and you see the camera crew. I was like, well, you've broken everything. You can't just use it. Just deal with it and go with it
You can't
afterwards.
redo that stunt.
Yeah, I think there could have been a lot more to the movie, and if I'm honest,
In one moment wise,
yes,
I think there's some iconic photos like the duel back to back. That's a cool still.
yeah,
That kind of thing. The island in the Thai island that he's in with the big rock is now called James Bond Island.
yeah, the
after
one with the
film.
mirror that comes up.
Yeah. When we were in Thailand, you could have had a trip there, like a day trip excursion there.
But it was expensive.
We never did that. It was too
Oh.
expensive. There's too much other things to do.
Yeah, apparently it's the whole area is now famous because of the movie. It's just and it will continue to do so as long as people watch it and say, "Oh, I want to go out and see that." Again, the fact that they call it James Bond Rock, it had no
Yeah,
name.
exactly.
No other rocks have names other than that one. Oh, that's James Bond Rock. That's James Bond's Rock.
Speaking about rock, what did you think of the theme tune? Lulu, the man with the golden gun song.
It's catchy. It stays in your head.
It is catchy. Stays in your head. It's another coming straight off of Live and Let Die, same kind of rock thing. Maybe they could have kept the whole rock idea for the 70s. It looked like they were trying to tie it together.
Yeah.
Keep consistency.
You do have Big Witsy's name back. Big tax avoider. He's back doing the score.
John
and
Barry's
things,
back with the score.
I'd say it's a good movie. Like,
Everybody complains about how obvious the lyrics are. They're not like the innuendos in them.
The man with the golden gun.
What is it? He has to have sex before he can't remember the
Oh
lyrics.
yeah, I know what you mean. But then it's like,
Yeah.
right, okay.
The innuendos.
You know the movie. You know what you're
what it's
getting
gonna be
into.
about. That did you know that Alice Cooper recorded
Yes.
one? and they never used it.
on Spotify, and it's dreadful.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Sorry, Alice, but it's just pish.
It's not James Bond worthy.
No.
Apparently they were going to go with it until like a last minute entry from Lulu.
Yeah, I think it's alright. I don't think it's good or bad. I just think it's like, okay, it's quite catchy, and
I don't have anything against it. It's definitely not a bad song.
it's a song I could hear too much. If you get what I mean.
Right.
If I hear it now, that's a good song. If I hear it maybe two or
Maybe
three
the
times, I'm
entire-
like, nah, I couldn't. It's not a song you could listen to over and over again. It is just catchy. It's got a good kind of build up and a good beat and things like that with it. But I think it's just all right.
It's not one of the worst, but it's definitely
No,
not the
it's
best.
it's definitely not the best. It's definitely not the worst. It's middle of the road in terms of the songs go. But yeah, I don't know if I don't have anything else to say about it. I think
Yeah.
it's just meh.
No, it's okay. I think another thing that's a bit okay or underused is Maud Adams. Oh, the first obvious thing
That's
is
why they bring her back.
why would they bring her back for another film? She plays a character in another film. Why would you bring her back, even if it is 10 years later, to play the
Both-
main character?
Both the Bond women are Swedish. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard that. Is it Brit?
Yes.
She wanted Maud Adams' role, and then Maud Adams got it, but then Brit demanded to come on and play Goodnight, which is another dislike I have of that.
The
Why?
character.
Why did they make out that Goodnight was like the biggest idiot on earth?
Yeah, she's
Why-
like the epitome of the blonde.
Yeah,
bimbo.
like
It's-
everything. Oh, she. The reason they go to the island is because she gets captured, but for no reason. And then she makes stuff, and then she's like in a cupboard.
Uh-huh.
She's like, just wait here. And then it was like, how desperate is this woman meant to be? Like, oh, she would have cupboard. Oh no, that's fine. I'll see you tomorrow night. And then at the end, literally, she almost kills James Bond by pressing a button with her arse. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's just. This is almost slapstick. Why is she?
Yeah.
She's causing more problems, but that's not her. That's whoever's written this character in.
Script, yeah.
Why is goofy is the way it was almost turned out to be.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I was like, why is that necessary?
Yeah.
You tell me, Jack. Why is it necessary?
I don't know why it was necessary. I think that was a bit. Speaking of bottoms up, stuff like the bottoms up club, it's a very. The Man with the Golden Gun is a very horny film, Derek.
It's the 70s.
Like,
All these nipples.
they've got nipples, and it's got straight up just some girl's butt ass right there.
I actually like
In the bottoms up club. I've been to Thailand and it's much worse than that. It's much worse.
I thought you were going to defend that. Nothing like that. It's changed in the 70s. It's much worse than that.
No, there's absolutely no clothes.
It did bring on a few like lines, like so the lines I have written down, like the tall, slim, and dark. So's my aunt, but
Yeah.
that bit afterwards where she says she's going to be the bottoms up club. He has a third nipple, and he says, "Unless bottoms up is a strip club and Scaramanga is performing."
Yeah, exactly.
Again, that was like the mongoose line from Live and Let Die, but
It's a very sexual film is what I'm getting at. It's
yeah.
like even that woman in the billionaire's swimming pool is completely naked swimming around.
Yeah. What was
And
her
her
name?
name is Chew Me. How bad can it be? It's just, and then also, I don't know if you can put this in the same category, but he has the big sumo who he just grabs his ass and squeezes tight.
I forgot about that because it's like what the first instinct is like both eyes, and it's like, what are you doing, Roger? What's going on here?
Hold
What's
on
the
tight.
plan, Roger? And then he turns the nappy.
Squeeze.
Did it not play like music over that? All it does, and it goes.
Oh, it's a very seedy film. This.
What you doing, Roger? Yeah. And the other lines I had is the laid him out cold from Goodnight. I thought, you're just trying to be James Bond there.
Her character.
Did you have any other
doesn't
lines
want
other
that.
than those ones noted?
No, those are the best lines, really.
Yeah.
I thought that the character of Knick Knack was...
What was going on there? I've never killed a midget before.
I don't know if we can even say that anymore.
No, you can't. No, you can't. But this was the 70s.
Yeah, I know that the actor...
The actor was
a Parisian painter was what he
Yes.
was.
And he was a big womanizer.
Yeah.
And everyone in set says, I just disappeared. Like, he went out all night and then came back, slept for 2 hours, and then did his thing, painted people, and then went away back out again.
Went away back to the strip clubs. Apparently, yeah. There was an interview with Christopher Lee saying that he would just go out at night and do weird and wonderful things and come back the next day.
Because all the
Or the
like
next
Maud
night.
Adams and that were saying, like, he flirted with everybody. And there was the person who was the script supervisor, I think it was, or the set supervisor, and he would always go up to her typewriter and leave like a wee flower and then like a wee like love letter thing.
Oh,
And then she would go and
cute.
leave him another thing like that. And he would do that to everybody, and I'm like, who is this guy? This level of
Excellent.
confidence.
Yes, well.
Yeah, I didn't really get that character, but then it was quite. It's
They
iconic,
always
I
need
would
a
say.
henchman.
Hmm?
They need a henchman.
Is he a henchman? He's a butler.
Yeah. But he is. I guess he is the henchman. He comes very close to killing James Bond with the trident
Yes, and the knife at the end,
and
and all the
knife.
bottles. But then it's just like every day when you see him getting put in the suitcase, and it's like,
Are you going to put that
No.
in your remake?
no, that will not be. That will not be in the remake. Before we go on to the ranking of this film,
Yeah.
which you're deciding the ranking this week, and then I will move
Okay.
either that one or another one. Why don't you give folks golden question 3?
Okay. The third question.
That's the hard one.
If you've got 2 already, then this is you going for gold.
Shut up.
Okay, so this is a hard one. So, what is the nationality of the gunsmith who makes Scaramanga's golden bullets? His name is Lazar, but what does M say his nationality is?
That's a hard question. I didn't get that
It's
one.
hard.
I wasn't paying attention enough.
Would you like to see my... What was that?
Didn't want it in the speaker. Okay.
Would you like to see my prop? Since we've
Oh
got some
god,
time
this
left.
prop. Yeah, I've never seen this. So
I've forgotten all about it. It's a good prop my brother got me, actually.
what is this? Oh, is this? Is it the gun or is it a bar of soap? Oh right.
Right?
So this is the golden gun.
Yes.
So
But-
where's your nipple?
Turn the camera off. We'll see.
Or does this assemble?
Yes. Right. So how does it work? That goes on somewhere like that.
Have you done this before?
I should actually have practiced it.
Right.
That goes in. Take that off. That goes in there. Right. And then, well, I'm presuming it goes somewhere like that.
For those who are just listening, Jack is fumbling
Can you
with
hear
pieces
the
of plastic.
ASMR? There you go.
Oh right. Okay.
Right. Now, what I would say is, what's unique about this is that Aaron, my brother, 3D printed this.
Oh.
So this is a 3D printed version of the man with the golden gun.
That is class.
Uh,
Let's see it.
So, and there's a bullet in there somewhere.
Oh, is it going?
That obviously doesn't fire or what.
Oh yeah, I can see the flash marks. And the cufflink trigger.
And it's
That's
a
cool.
pen.
For sale now on our store.
on the website.
$1 billion. That's cool.
And you can, I know you can get a replica on the James Bond store, but why do that when you can make your own?
Yeah. I think the one in the James Bond store is like a really small thing as well.
Is it not in a box or something, like in a display case?
Did Aaron make this for the episode? Probably didn't know.
No, he made it as a small birthday present. Thank you, Aaron.
That's class. Thank you, Aaron.
It does have a golden bullet in here somewhere, but I don't know how you get it out.
Oh no.
He showed me the other day, but I can't remember. Anyway,
Thank you.
Thanks.
There are a lot of guns on these.
Yeah. What's the next?
So now it's time for ranking. And what we decided on last week is that we will take it in turns to put the film we've just discussed on the list.
Yeah.
And then the other person can then move one of them, one position. Jack made the fatal error last week of moving Diamonds Are Forever back up.
Nope.
And I'm going to take Diamonds Are Forever off and put it in the bin.
Right.
No, I won't do that.
So-
So I'm going to give this to you.
This time it's my turn to place the man with the golden gun where I think
Yes,
it is.
you place.
And Derek's going to make one move to the full board.
Whilst Jack's doing that, I'd like to thank you for watching because you've got this far. If you've not watched any of our previous episodes, then go through and watch them. On the platform that you are watching or listening, then please like, subscribe, follow, or share, or do all of those, because that would make us very happy. Jack's smiling at his decision. I don't know what he's done
I
yet.
made the wrong decision.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do.
Would you like to read it out while I read it out?
I need to make my decision.
Okay.
Wait, why am I not allowed to have my choice? No, give it back to me.
It's my board.
Right, where have you put it?
I think I've been extra generous, actually.
Oh,
Too generous.
I don't know. I think this is actually quite a hard one. I'd say it's fair where you've put it. There's another one I want to move.
don't destroy my dreams.
What? Right.
I think I've been too kind to it.
To the man with the golden gun?
Yeah.
No, I think you've put it above the other films that I think are beneath it. If anything, you've put it below Live and Let Die. I'd kind of argue with that one,
Okay.
but in fact, I'm going to argue with that one because I'm going to put Diamonds Are Forever back because I picked it up. I'm actually going to move. I'm tearing between it. Is it better than From Russia with Love? I don't think it is. I think it's a very well made movie that's good. So I think that's fair. I've only moved it up one.
Okay.
I did move Diamonds Are Forever though, but I put it back because I'm going to keep
Stick to
that
the
one
rules.
for a while. No, I can move it.
No, you can't.
Yes,
The
I can.
rules. The rules. You've just made your one move. Oh, you're right. Okay, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
You never made a move.
I did make a move. I moved it up one.
Okay, so from the top we have Goldfinger in first position, then From Russia with Love, then in third place the new Man with the Golden Gun, and after that Live and Let Die, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Diamonds Are Forever
For now.
rightly is above Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, and coming in last is Dr. No, the first film.
I think that's fair. I think it's fair where we are, apart from Diamonds Are Forever, which will be getting knocked down as the weeks go on.
You'll have to give up something else. To do.
We're actually running out of space in the board. We need a bigger board.
If,
We need to bring back the big board next
if you're
time.
feeling generous, you can buy us a board.
Would you like to buy us a bigger board and the golden gun and t-shirts?
And
Not the
t-shirt
thing that
box.
Jack's wearing, not that horror story.
There's
Jack's
the
wearing
Halloween
a
costume.
haunted jumper. You can buy this t-shirt I'm wearing on our store, or you can support us by buying a martini.
Or a mug.
So all that is left is to again thank you for tuning into this episode and learning a few things along the way. I think we were actually quite informative this week.
Yeah.
Facts about the 70s and wars and whatnot, and
Stunts.
we're advertising other films quite a lot of the time.
Yeah. So if they want to pay us.
Yes. What's the next movie actually?
The next movie we're looking forward to after a 3-year break will be The Spy Who Loved Me.
That's a good one.
This will be a good one.
What a good one. Okay, well we will see you then. Bye bye.
Bye.